do. Hey, how you doing, guys? Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. We're back with more mental health tips on how to have the life you've always wanted, right? That's what we're trying to do here. How do you get healthy, stay healthy, and live well? That's what we're doing every Wednesday at 12:15. So glad you're here. So it is, what's the date? I'm going to check here. It's the 18th. One thing I do know is Christmas is 1 week away. And so when I'm preparing for this, I'm thinking, okay, what do I talk about 1 week away from Christmas? There's a billion things I could talk about as far as, mental health goes. That's for sure. But a week out, I got to talk about Christmas. Like, there's just no way that I can do this justice and that I can kind of respond to the felt need of a live event unless we're talking about Christmas. So this is it. We're going all in. And what we're going to try to do is talk about how to have anxiety literally cut out of your Christmas experience. That's my goal for this next 30, 45 minutes. All right. So when you think about Christmas, what do you think of? Take a second. Might want to close your eyes. Think about, okay, what does Christmas mean to me? What's the experience of Christmas like for me? So you're thinking, coming up with some ideas, get some images in your head. Now, some of you are going to have like really, really positive images of Christmas, right? Some of you are going to have really, really negative experiences of Christmas. Some of you are like, man, I love it. And I remember the times when I was a kid, or I remember the times when all the family is getting together, and last year we did this, and 20 years ago we did this, and man, you love Christmas. You just love it. Others are like, man, anxiety. That's all I feel. That's the only thing that comes up. When you started to think about Christmas and have that mental image in your head, you're having a panic attack. I know you are, right? So we have different ways of thinking about this. I do think that culture kind of sets us up in some ways with this unrealistic expectation of it. What's that Christmas song? It's the most wonderful time of the year. You know that one? I'm trying to think of the words right now. I can't get any of them, but you know which song I'm talking about. That's a lot of pressure, right? It's not like it's a great, awesome time of the year. Like, it can be really cool sometimes. Like, that's not the lyric. It's the most wonderful time of the entire year is Christmas. And I think that setup is part of what creates the disappointment, whether it's the perfectionistic side with like all the expectations of Christmas, it's going to be awesome, and even the anxiety. Like, those of you that have anxiety, the reason you have anxiety is because on some level you feel like it's supposed to be awesome. It's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year. And I just want to sort of start with this idea that it is actually both of those things. It's awesome. I mean, we're celebrating the birth of Christ. For those of you that are Christians, it's pretty important, but it's simultaneously a lot. I mean, we did a Christmas party at our house on Sunday for our office, for the Live Well team, and some of the Live Well team's probably watching. Here's what I want you to know. Sunday was like a pretty stressful day, right? It was awesome, a great party. I think we had a good time, but man, I was working. I was getting some stuff done. It was not, I didn't sit around with my kids and like lick on, candy canes and like look at and gaze at the Christmas tree. I was mopping floors. I mean, we were down to the wire, by the way. If you went to that party, we were down to the wire getting the house ready. So I'm telling you that to say the season includes some really awesome things and some really kind of stressful, busy, chaotic moments. That's just part of what we're doing here. So our job is to figure out how do we just accept what it is and move forward with the best strategies in place that will help us have a Christmas that's just literally void of anxiety. Probably can't make it void of stress. Like you're going to have, like we're doing a challenge right now, a less stressed holiday season. You can have a less stressed holiday season, but you're probably not going to have a stress-free holiday season. No one does. You can have an anxiety-free holiday. You can have an anxiety-free Christmas. So that's what we're going to work on today. So I'm just going to throw out a bunch of techniques and tell you what I'm thinking, okay? Number one, you want to have anxiety just cut out of the Christmas experience for you. What do? Don't hate on me for this one. I don't want any nasty comments. You ready? You hear this all the time, especially from us. Practice mindfulness and relaxation. You've got to do it, man. I'm telling you. My wife and I were talking about it yesterday. It's the last thing you want to do when you've got this list in your head of things that have to get done. Last thing you want to do is say, okay, I need to take 5 minutes and just sit on the porch and take some deep breaths because it's like, well, that's actually ridiculous. Why would I do that when I've got to be somewhere in 20 minutes or I've got to buy all these things and get on Amazon and start ordering and order food? But guys, I'm telling you, the research is very clear on this. The 55 minutes that you have left in an hour, if you practice 5 minutes of relaxation and mindfulness, will be more productive than all 60 minutes if you didn't do the mindfulness and relaxation. That's not me telling you that. That's not me trying to convince you to do something. That's literal data. If you relax your brain and your body for 5 minutes, you will get more done with the 55 minutes you have left. Why? Because your amygdala is kind of shut down, your frontal lobe's online, you're thinking more clearly, you're thinking more calmly. And that's how you begin to really make progress here. So if I had to encourage you to do some things, here's what it would be. Number one is just deep breathing. If you're not good at this, if you're not skilled in it, if you haven't practiced a lot, literally sit on your couch and take some deep breaths for 5 minutes. They call it the 4-7-8 rule. So you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 7 seconds, and then you exhale out of your mouth for 8 seconds. You just let all that air out of your lungs. Sounds corny, sounds like exactly what some weird psychology show, some caricature of a psychologist would tell you to do on TV. It actually works. So that's number one. You can also meditate. Some people are just really uncomfortable with that idea, but I gotta tell you, I've been doing this, and that's a big deal for me to say, because I've traditionally, as I've told you so many times, I'm not a huge meditation guy. I kind of like to be active. So I'm talking to you guys, I'm really preaching to myself. But I've been doing this. So I got this cold plunge at my house where I get in this cold plunge. It's like 35 degrees. I spend 5 minutes in there, and I have been intentionally just meditating during that 5 minutes. I start my day every day in 35 degrees of water. And let me tell you something. The cold plunge combined with meditation, crazy powerful, super powerful. It actually, it works. So take it from a guy who's kind of a little cautious about this stuff. It works. And then finally, progressive muscle relaxation. You relax every muscle group in your body. We don't have time to go over it, but if you do go to our website, livewellbehavioralhealth.com, it's actually the clinic website. You can find some free progressive relaxation videos or audio files on there, and that'll just talk you through it. To yours truly, you get to listen to me again. Congratulations. It's awesome. So there's that. So number one, want to cut anxiety out, you have to practice mindfulness and relaxation. You have to. Number two, you have to set boundaries. And I know we've been talking about this for weeks now leading up to the holidays. That's how you have a less stressed holiday. I'm not going to say a lot about it. What I do want to talk to you about is just overcommitting. You have to be willing to step back and say, okay, this year I'm not going to overcommit myself. And I think the way you draw the boundaries when you decide I'm not going to go to something, I've got 18 things on my schedule. I need to parse that down to 10. So 8 people are going to be, I got to have a hard conversation with 8 people. How do you frame that boundary? That's the huge part, because the reason we don't do this just naturally and easily is because of the pushback, right? We feel like, hey, I'm not coming. And how often do you get, I totally get it. It's no big deal. I understand. No, not all. There's some disappointment. Like, oh my gosh, oh, that sucks. Like, why can't you be, what's going on? Are you okay? All the pushback. So I'm going to give you a little, this is like a pro tip here on how to set that boundary. You have to start with affirmation. You have to start with affirmation of the person that you're setting the boundary with. So you can't lead with, look, I'm just not able to come. You got to lead with, hey, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. I know the cousins get together every year, and I those are some of my most fond memories that I've had of Christmas over the years. And man, thank you for hosting. I know it's a lot of work. So you're just pouring it on. Like, hey, I see you. I see all the work. I see your investment in me. Thank you for the invitation. But boundary, I can't make it. And we typically don't do that, right? Typically, when we're about to disappoint someone, we lead with like a withdrawal of emotion, right? Because we don't want to feel it. We don't want to feel the discomfort. We don't want to feel like the bad person. We don't want to feel like we're hurting their feelings. And so we just sort of repress a lot. Like, hey, Sally, listen, we're not going to be able to come Thursday. It's just not going to work out. Okay. And your whole goal is to get off the phone, right? It's like, you're going to write a text. Let's be honest. You're not even going to talk to them if you don't have to. So the reason we do that is because we're avoiding actually feeling some of the emotions. And my encouragement to you is do the opposite. Feel the emotions, feel all the empathy, express the affirmation, tell them, man, I see you, but I'm just at a place where I can't come. It works much, much better. Number 3, prioritize self-care. So I'm just going to give you some things, and we've been talking about this in the Less Stress Holiday Challenge. We were talking about it before Thanksgiving, so I'm going to give you some. These are some essential things that I want you to grab onto and make the commitment for the next week or two. You're going to do this. You've got to do, if you're going to cut anxiety out, you have to do these things. You have to. Ready? You got to figure out how to get your sleep. A sleep schedule, especially during moments that create stress and anxiety and emotion, is incredibly important. And you know that even like an hour of sleep can mess up your biorhythms. They've done some research on this, and I find it like terrifying, actually. But people who get to sleep like an hour and a half less per night, maybe it was real restless sleep or they got to sleep later than they usually do, the likelihood that they have a heart attack in the morning goes way up. What? It's like when I read that, I was like, wow. I mean, if that's not an indication that we need some cadence that we can trust, like think about like how important a structure is when you're feeling chaotic. So get your sleep. If you're an 8 hours person, you got to find a way to get your 8 hours. Protect it. Protect that boundary. Number 2 is nutrition. And I'm not going to be a killjoy here. I already told my wife yesterday. I was like, look, I'm putting in an order. I mean, her facial expression wasn't great, but I said, I'm putting in an order. I want the the peanut butter balls on Christmas Day. And she's like, all right, we can do that. No big deal. Super kind, gracious, right? But think about what I'm asking for. I'm asking for like fat combined with sugar covered in chocolate. That's pretty much what I'm craving already for Christmas Day. And I'm going to eat them. I'm going to eat them till I can't eat anymore. Like, that's my whole plan for Christmas. I love them. They're amazing. But there's got to be some boundaries associated with this, right? Like, some people, you let go of the boundary at Thanksgiving. You're like, well, it's the holidays. It was like December 1st. December 1st, not the holidays, right? Like, that's called Monday. But you've been just letting the boundaries go, and I'll worry about it later. Some of you are going to gain like 10 pounds, 15 pounds just during Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I'm really going to encourage you, splurge. Have your moments, but decide ahead of time how you're going to manage this and how you're going to attack this. And don't just say, it's a free-for-all for freaking weeks, because you're going to feel bad. You will feel bad over time if you're not used to eating like that. So watch your nutrition and draw boundaries about that for yourself. Finally, physical activity. The first thing we want to let go of is working out. And I got to tell you, moving your body is huge, especially if you struggle with anxiety. If you're having panic attacks, if you have any kind of anxiety, if you worry about things like the future or social situations or things you can't control, and you're not moving your body every day, you're crazy. Because if you look at the research, that behavioral activation literally drains your body of adrenaline and cortisol, the stress hormones that actually create all the anxiety. Get your body moving. You've got some time off. What's going to prevent you from taking 30 minutes, grabbing someone you love, a family member, a friend, or just putting in a cool podcast or some Christmas music and walking? Just get your body moving. You'll be surprised at how just getting rid of the adrenaline and cortisol every day helps. Number 4, simplify your plans. Simplify your plans. So overscheduling creates chaos. When you're overscheduled, you create chaos. And what that means is when, schedules are good, structure is good, but when you're taking a block of time and in order to sort of like fit everything in to that block of time, it requires a massive amount of effort, and you're running around and you're hurried and you have to be there, and we've got to go now because we've got to get this done. Simplify your schedule. And one way to do this in a very intuitive way is just focus on quality over quantity. Focus on quality over quantity. Like, kind of look at it in terms of groups of people, right? Groups of people and activities. Who do you want to be spending your time with? And have like tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, right? Tier 3 might be all the people that you think are great, your coworkers, or maybe your buddy from high school, just people that you care about, but that they're not like central to your well-being, central to your sense of identity in the holidays. Well, those guys probably don't need a bunch of your time. Then you've got tier 2, and these are, family members and people that are important. And so, yeah, you've got to carve out some time for them, and you want to do that. But then you've got tier 1. You've got, these are my people. Like, let me give you an idea who I'm talking about. You ready? Your spouse. Like, start there. Start with your spouse. My wife and I say this all the time. Like, we host a lot of the stuff during the holidays, and we can go through a holiday. It's not uncommon at all for us to get to the end of the day and be like, I literally have said 3 words to you. Why? Because we've been taking care of everybody else, and I'm hanging out with this person, and my dad and my father-in-law and all my kids. That's not how it should be. Like, she's my number 1, right? So we should make sure that we're taking time. My wife and I, we should take time and say, okay, I'm choosing quality over quantity. I'm going to make sure that we might not get to that event, but I'm going to have moments where I sit down with you, I look in your eyes, and I'm thankful for the person that God has given me to share my life with. That's for sure. Pick quality over quantity. And then this is tough for some of you. Some of you aren't going to like this one at all, but you need to share responsibility. You need to share responsibility. Some of you have so much on your shoulders right now. And I'm gonna speak directly to females. Now, this is a gross oversimplification of how life works. I get this, and not every female is like this, but a lot of the females that are watching this live event, you take on so much by yourself during the holidays. And a lot of it is kind of the more domestic stuff, right? You're cooking for everybody. You're cleaning after everybody leaves. You're buying, all the presents. I know that's not how it is always set up, but I know that as a group, man, you guys take on so much. And one way through this holiday, if you want to just cut anxiety out of the picture, is to say, okay, I'm gonna ask for help. That's big. That's huge. It might not get done the way you want it to get done, and the food might not taste quite right, and the decorations maybe it doesn't look as. But I'm telling you that the energy that you save by just sharing the load is enormous. Just knowing that you're not in it alone helps. So that's a hard thing. I know for a lot of people. For me, that's hard. But guys, part of cutting anxiety out is saying, okay, I'm going to do this differently. And if you're going to do this differently, you're going to have to let yourself ask for help. And if you're watching this and someone asks you for help, you better say yes. Don't be a selfish son of a gun, right? Like, respond to something. If someone looks at you and says, "Hey," in humility, can you just check off A, B, and C for me? Man, what a privilege during the holidays to just say, "Absolutely, I can do that. No big deal. I got you." That is the kind of thing that creates a lot less anxiety. Number 5. We did a whole month on this, or a whole 2 weeks, practice gratitude. We did it right before Thanksgiving with the gratitude challenge. I'm not going to say a ton about it. I'm just reminding you, look for moments where you can focus, on blessings rather than stressors. That instantly reduces anxiety. What can I be thankful for? Go back to all the things that we did in the gratitude challenge. Keep a journal. Like, look, you got a week until Christmas. You got 2 weeks until New Year's. Keep a journal. Like, open a note in your phone and just say, okay, every day I'm gonna take some snapshots of the things that I'm actually grateful for. Write them down. And clearly, there's moments where you want to express this gratitude to other. I know that writing it down is one thing. Actually sharing it with the people that you're grateful for means a lot. So just a little bit of a reminder, practice gratitude. Number 6, connect with loved ones. And this is similar to kind of simplifying the plans and your tier 1, 2, and 3 people. But I want you to prioritize those relationships that lift you up. You all have relationships that you can say, man, out of everybody, this person energizes me, lifts me up, makes me feel valuable, recognizes what I bring to the table. Find time to spend with those people. I hope that's your spouse. If it's not, you guys should come to therapy at Live Well, because it should be your spouse, but it needs to be someone other than your spouse. Like, find those moments where you can say, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to get around this person that I can just know is going to encourage me and love me, give me hope and joy and peace. They're going to see me, right? Find those people. If they're not in your life, and sometimes they might not be like present in the city you're in during the holidays, during Christmas, on Christmas Day, and that's cool. But if they're not, call them. Like, take the time to, do a FaceTime call. Get on Zoom. On your way to the store, just dial them up, man. Get those digits out and dial them and see what's up, see what's going on, and just make sure that you connect with the people that you know will energize you, because that energy, that love, that acceptance works against anxiety. There's some chemical reasons, right, in your brain that happens. There's oxytocin connected with connecting with other people on an intimate level, on an emotionally intimate level, and oxytocin does what? Works in against really the stress response in the body. So do your best to find the people that energize you and get around them. Number 7, take breaks. Now, that seems crazy, right? I'm running with my head cut off. I've got all this stuff to do. I've got 3 hours of work to do in an hour and a half. How in the world would I take a break? Well, let me put it to you like this. How many of you work out? You ever been in the gym, you're working out? What do? You get down on that bench and you start bench pressing. Do you bust out like 50 reps? Like just 49, 50? No, you don't, right? What do? You do maybe 10, 12 reps, and then you put that bar up on the rack, take some deep breaths. You probably get up, walk around a little bit. You rest your muscles, right? You kind of have to rest everything. And then once you feel a little bit rested, it's been 30 seconds, a minute and a half, 2 minutes. Then what do? You get back on the rack, get back on the bench. Let's start. But here's 10 more. Boom. And you have the energy and the ability to actually do that because you took the rest. Does that make sense? The muscles require rest to perform at peak levels. You require rest to perform at peak levels. You will get more done if you build in breaks. So what does that look like? I mean, it doesn't have to be brain surgery. I mean, we're talking take a walk. Like just literally say, I'm gonna put some music on, some soothing music. Don't get like angry gangster rap. Get like some soothing music. No Kodak Black, right? Let's think in terms of like Mariah Carey, and or whoever, Taylor Swift. I don't know who you like, but somebody that's gonna sort of lighten your mood and just relax. Take a walk. Like maybe it's just sitting on the back porch and you're gonna disconnect and grab one of your kids and watch a dumb video with them. Whatever. Build in breaks, and you will be surprised at the kind of rest and relaxation that brings. Number 8, manage expectations. We've talked a lot about unrealistic expectations and all that brings to the table. And some of that comes down to these pictures that we have in our head. Remember I said at the beginning that we have two kinds of people. Some people are like totally expecting anxiety during the holidays and like they're ready for it. They know it's going to happen. They know it's going to suck for them. And other people are like, I think it's going to be amazing. And it's all these perfect pictures. Like here's what I hope it looks like and here's what it could look like. And those expectations are what you've got to manage, because that's what makes you feel so disappointed. And I alluded to this the last Wellness Wednesday. I hope maybe some of you, if you haven't watched all of them in the last couple of weeks and you're getting stressed during the holidays, just watch some of these. They're all on our YouTube channel because they build on each other. I talked a week or two ago about like holding these things at the same time. You can have an incredible holiday, awesome, full of love and hope and joy and peace, and combine it with some difficult moments. Like that's called life. And the more you fight against the difficult moment, I don't want to feel that. I can't believe that. I don't want to acknowledge that. And I don't like feeling this way. And why does he have to do that? Or she annoys me. The more you focus on the negative and pushing it out of your existence, and I don't want to even acknowledge, I don't want that to happen, the more power it has. Is that crazy? If you just expect there's going to be good and bad together, that healthy, mature way of viewing the world ultimately helps you just realign all your expectations about what this is likely to look like. And then finally, and this is actually the most important thing, is you got to focus on the reason for the season. What is Christmas ultimately all about? It's about the gift of love. And I was was talking with my dad not long ago, and we were talking about like what's the most important season or time period for a Christian during the year. My dad's a big Easter guy, right? So he knows theology better than anybody. So he's like laying all this stuff out. Here's why Easter is important, and the resurrection, and all the things. And I listened to him, and we had a really nice conversation there. And he said some smart things, and I said, Dad, I get it, and I agree with you. I don't disagree with you. But the sacrifice of God becoming a man is the most radical, crazy, wild, inexplicable operational definition of love that I could ever imagine. I mean, it blows my mind. It doesn't make any sense. How did God become a man? Like, how do you do that? The humility required to do that it's kind of beyond my comprehension. There's a verse in Philippians, and I won't get it anywhere near, right? But it talks about God who being in very nature, or Christ, I guess, being in very nature God, humbled himself and became in very nature a servant and took on the form of a man. And you think about like just the picture of that and the insanity of that love. Like how did that even happen? And it started, I was talking to my dad. I was like, man, you think about the humility of all that and how that picture of the birth of Christ as the ultimate sacrifice of surrendering your godhood. You're fully God, but you're fully man, and all the incredible liability that comes with that. That picture of love rooted in humility and sacrifice, to me, is just, it is, I can't even put words to it. As you can tell, I'm just sort of stumbling today trying to explain how it feels to me and what it means to me that Jesus was born into this world. So I'm gonna read a story here that you guys have all heard before. It's a combination of a bunch of scripture. And it starts in the Gospel of Luke, and it says, a decree went out from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be registered. And Mary, who was with child from the Holy Spirit, and Joseph, her husband, traveled to Bethlehem, where the time came for Mary to give birth. And she gave birth to her firstborn son, and wrapped him in swaddling clothes, and laid him in a manger, because there was no place for them in the inn. And on that same night, angels appeared to shepherds in the field, proclaiming, fear not, for behold, I bring you good news of great joy that will be there for all the people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, who is Christ the Lord. The shepherds went in haste and found Mary and Joseph and the baby lying in a manger. They worshipped and marveled, and the news spread, filling hearts with awe. The Gospel of John puts it this way: the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And you think about God himself, motivated by perfect love, entered the world as a humble, vulnerable baby. That's what we have to focus on in all of this. This whole story, everything we're celebrating, the whole reason that we're doing this is to take a moment, press pause in our life, and we do it every year to say, wait, we've got to remember something. God became a man. The Word became flesh. And if we can just capture the value of that and begin to live it out ourselves, if you could live and if I could live in that kind of humility and in that kind of sacrificial love for the next week or two, I don't think you have to worry about anxiety, because your whole mindset is on just the beauty of this gift of love. And then our response to it's one thing to get a gift. What's important is how you respond to a gift. You ever seen a kid? I've seen some of these videos. They get like the wrong gift on Christmas. Watch some of those. It'll tick you off, right? It's like the kid gets an Xbox. It's the wrong one. It's an old Xbox, and they're pushing the thing away, and everybody's horrified. Or I saw one the other day where this kid got a BMW for their 16th birthday, and the girl walks out and she's like, "This is X3 and I wanted an X5," something like that. And you're like, oh my gosh, if I were there, I might literally just kick her in the face or something. But why? Because it's so ungrateful, just so ungrateful. How we respond to a gift is important. And our job is to respond to the gift, the incredible, humble, sacrificial reality that God became a man. And if we can respond to that gift of love by being loving and gracious and hopeful, guys, that's what makes this season go round. That's what's going to cut anxiety out of this season for you in a way that none of the other strategies will, I think. So that's my final encouragement to you. Remember the reason for this season. Look around your table at Christmas. Talk to the people that God has put in your life. It's these family members that you love and that have been there for you for years. Not perfectly, but they've been there for you for years. And say, I'm going to respond to the gift of love with my own sacrificial love. And they're going to bring up politics, and they're going to bring up all the stuff that you don't want them to talk about, and they're going to tell the story that you wish they wouldn't tell about when you were 15 and you did whatever you did. Respond to people in love. Respond in humility. Lead with love. Lead with humility. And I'll guarantee you have a Christmas that's a lot less anxious. All right, guys. It is an incredible privilege to be able to speak into your lives every Wednesday. I'm having a ton of fun doing this. So thank you. Thank you for watching this. Thank you for being with us. If you're not signed up for the Live Well Coaching platform, I really want to encourage you to do that. livewell-coaching.com. Just go to that website, sign up. There's a bunch of free stuff going on right now. You can get involved in. Obviously, we're not going to do this in 1 week because it's Christmas, but I want you to know that I will be thinking about what we're doing together on this app and on this platform, and I'm super excited about next year and everything that we're going to do together. So thanks so much. I hope everybody has an awesome Christmas, and we will see you in 2020.